we're going to talk about mining Bitcoin with volcanoes, which is pretty sick. So, according to Nayib Bukele, who is the president of El Salvador has mined its first Bitcoin with volcanic energy. About 22% of all power in El Salvador can come from geothermal sources like volcanoes. And he made an effort earlier this summer when they announced this new Bitcoin law to start mining Bitcoin with this geothermal energy. What that entails is setting up a facility, geothermal energy based facility, putting some Bitcoin miners on the spot, plugging them in, and letting them mine. It's actually pretty simple, but it's pretty wild to see that we now have Bitcoin powered by volcanoes. I didn't have that on my bingo card this year. Pretty crazy to see. If you look at that number, it's really not that much Bitcoin so far. It's like, 0.01 Bitcoin, which is not a ton. So it's okay. We'll get there. They'll get a few Bitcoin pretty soon here, I'm sure. Jen, I'm going to throw this to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so interesting to see everything happen in El Salvador that El Salvador said was going to happen a few months ago. It's just like one day after the other. It's just happening. So that's super interesting. When I was reading this story, I thought, if El Salvador really wants to be the home of greener Bitcoin, I would love to see them attract miners there to fund renewable energy projects that actually give back to the community. I think, most of the stories we've talked about, we don't really speak about the community in El Salvador. And so I think that if we can attract more mining there, fund renewable energy projects, get more energy to remote communities in the country, that would be so super awesome. And that is my
It would be so
takeaway
super awesome
from that
volcanoes
story.
are super awesome. It's hard not to be hyped on volcanoes. Volcano, geothermal power. How tight is that? Okay, that's the coolest thing about the El Salvador Bitcoin plan. I mean, that part when that happened, that was so entertaining when that happened on the El Salvador story. We was like, "Yep, we're doing it, and we're mining from volcanoes." That was my favorite part.
What's happening next?
So yeah, that's volcanoes. The rule.
Yeah, I just I have nothing else to add except the exact same thing. Like sometimes I feel like I'm in this existential crisis where I'm not sure what's real anymore because it's like we're mining Bitcoin, this decentralized money from volcanoes. Like it's just such an epic, badass thing. As much as I dislike governments and in particular, mandates and totalitarianism and all of that, I love volcanoes and I love Bitcoin and I love the idea of combining those two things.
Silver lining.
So it's just like, I mean, I feel like we're kind of like superheroes in this superhero movie where all this badass stuff's going down. And I'm kind of watching this from the sideline, just like, if I'm watching a movie, like this is a good movie. This is like, I'm enjoying this film.
We're all going to get fired.
I just wanted to share my existential crisis with you all.
No, I was watching your interview yesterday with Charles Hoskinson, and that was kind of like the throwback to the 2014 interview you did with him also. And I was thinking now about like what would a 2014 Naomi Brockwell, who's been covering the space forever, think about mining Bitcoin with a volcano. And I don't know if you have like a face to show to like exhibit that emotion or anything like that, but it's just kind of wild to think about.
Nice.
Now just expression.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I probably do like a JFIX arts or something.
That's perfect. Yeah. Just to kind of close out the segment, I guess there, I think it's interesting to see how this project will scale from here. And if it's like a PR stunt, obviously Bukele has been very interested in getting El Salvador into the mainstream of Bitcoin culture. He's already been picking up a lot of the memes. Getting volcanic Bitcoin mining activity on the deck is pretty interesting itself. I'm wondering to see how this project scales from here. Is it going to become like a bigger part of his focus for integrating Bitcoin into the larger economy? Are they going to start putting up like large facilities for Bitcoin mining? And are they going to be attracting capital from China or elsewhere that's looking to kind of bring the Bitcoin mining industry into El Salvador? I think from an industry's perspective, there's a lot of questions and doubts if that is possible, even though there is a lot of cheap energy in that whole area. But I'll give
maybe like the next iteration in Casacious coins could be like made out of pumice stone or something, right?
Wow.
That's where we're headed to. That'd be fun. That's a great idea. I mean, if you look back to what happened in 2014, Absolutely, Casacious Coins. If you look back at 2014, like that interview I did with Charles back then was at this conference in Toronto, and it was pre-Ethereum. So Vitalik did this big presentation about what he was planning, and I have that as well. And like everyone was kind of talking about this as theory. It was all like, what if, this is a thing that we plan to do. We've got Bitcoin. It's really exciting. This has the potential to be a tool for freedom. Now it is a tool for freedom. It's being used all over the world. And you have Bitcoin being mined from volcanoes. Like, I just can't even, we started from the bottom, now we're here, right? It's pretty emotional. It's pretty epic. I just wanted to say that, like, we've come a long way from this crowd. Like Adam Levine, CoinDesk reporter, he was at that conference as well. And we chatted about side chains and the theory behind them, because they weren't really a thing that was being done at the time, and like what could happen. Like, we were all just speculating and throwing things at walls. And it's just so exciting to see how far the space has come and all the incredible people who are building out our decentralized future. It's awesome. So well done, guys. Emotional moment. Going to take a breath. Maybe we'll move on to the next topic.